So let me just check if this is live here. I think it would take time. Anyway, I'll introduce myself. I'm Vani Kari, biology educator at Unacademy. I'm an engineer with bachelor's and master's degree in biotechnology and a B.Ed degree. Also a founder of a startup where I grow microgreens by vertical farming technology. So today I'm going to discuss about the taxonomy and systematics. Okay. So any doubts you have on this topic, yes, you can ask your doubts. So this is basically taken from the Five Kingdom classification chapter itself. Alright, so any doubts you have, you can just get it clarified. So let me just check this. Alright, so join with us in Telegram. So that is for homework and class notes. You can join the channel Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10 biology and the Telegram channel of Unacademy ICSE and ISE both. So this link you can find in the description box. So you can go to the description box, find the link of Telegram, find the link of community, find the link of Bucks Bounty, and also find links for some of the special classes of mine. Okay, so we conduct special classes which are free classes on Unacademy platform. So all you have to do is download the Unacademy Learners app and start taking up these sessions. So you can learn from your favorite educator for free. So there are different educators who will come up with their own classes. So you can have access to their classes once you take the subscription, and these are anyway free classes, so these can be attended. And here only a certain percentage of topics will be covered, but in plus classes there is 100% syllabus coverage. And other than that, you can engage with the educators via poll. You can also clear your doubt in the live special classes. So for the top special classes, you can visit the link in the description. So there is a question tab, alright, where you can type in your question. You even have an option to attach an image and send it to the educator during the live session. So you can make a best use of that and clear all your doubts during the live session itself. And this is about the plus classes where 100% syllabus coverage is done. Okay, and the most important part is basically you can learn live from the comfort of your home. You will have access to all the courses because different educators are coming up with different courses. So you will have access to their courses once you take a subscription. Then top educators of India are going to take the classes in one platform, so that is Unacademy platform. Regular doubt clearing, so after about every 3 sessions, the fourth session will be your doubt clearing session. So whatever doubts you have related to the topics that are previously covered, so you can clear your doubt in this doubt clearing session. Okay, and with that the mentorship and guidance is given. Okay, so the study material will be given, so that will be in the form of a PDF itself, and also the practice tests are conducted. Just a second, let me just have a look at this. Yes. So practice tests are conducted, live test series are also given. So you will have access to the batches also. Okay, so we have a batch in English, we have a batch in English as well. So once you take the subscription, so you will have access to English batch as well as a English batch. And with that there is a daily practice section. Weekly mock test series are conducted, live quizzes are conducted. So right now weekly we have a scholar test series which is going on, and also there is daily MCQ and subjective test series which are conducted. So you can take a best use of these test series which are going on. And also there is a combo offer which is going on right now for class 9 learners, where you can take a 1 year subscription for your preparation of class 9, and along with that the same 1 year subscription where you will be getting access to JEE, NEET and NTSE sessions as well, which is basically a combo offer available where you can start your preparation early. So with a cost that is basically 34,500 is reduced to 31,050, and with the code that is Vani YT, my referral code is Vani YT. So with this referral code you will be getting further 10% discount on the subscription. Okay, and this is the regular amount that you would be paying. All right, so that is for regular subscription, but for the combo offer, the link you can find again in the description. So go to the description box and find the link for the same, so you can go ahead with the same. All right, so let's get started. So that is with the taxonomy. So what is taxonomy? What all categories are there? The taxonomy and systematics when we mention. So what exactly is this one? Yes, anybody has any idea what exactly is this taxonomy? No idea. Okay, so this one is basically the taxonomy is where you, whenever you identify or discover a new organism, so for that identification has to be done, classification has to be done, naming has to be done. So basically naming, characteristic identification, so basically characterization, naming it, then you will be grouping them under the specific category. So now there are different categories that are there, and arranging them in their order, so depending on whether it is belonging to the animal kingdom. So that, let's say I'll take an example. Okay, so you have discovered something new. Okay, so you have discovered a new let's say plant species. All right, so you have discovered a new plant species, and you will have to study its characteristics. All right, so once the characteristic study is done, all right, so what you will be doing, so basically first you will identify it. Okay, so after identification you'll study its characteristics. Okay, so once you study its characteristics, so you will name it. Okay, you will name that new plant species that you have discovered, and once the naming is done, so you will be classifying it. Okay, so that classification, identifying, characterizing, naming it, so this is basically naming, and the classification is done, so all that can be considered under the taxonomy. Okay, so what is taxonomy? So whenever we mention taxonomy, so whenever you discover a new species, so it can be plant, it can be animal, it can be a new bacteria, virus, fungi, or a protista, anything in general. So you have discovered something new, and you want to identify what exactly, how exactly this looks. So that characteristic study you do, and then you do the naming, and then you start classifying that, whether it belongs to the kingdom Monera, protista, or a fungi, plantae, animalia. So based on how exactly its characteristics are there, so based on that you will be classifying, and all that together we call as a taxonomy. Then what exactly is systematics then? So systematics, when we mention okay, so under systematics, so basically you are looking at the evolutionary relationship as well. All right, so that is taxonomy is included. So along with the taxonomy, so evolutionary relationship is also looked. So let's say you again discover a new species. All right, so what you have done is you have discovered a new species there. So whenever you discover a new species, so for that basically you want to compare it. Okay, so whether this new species it is resembling any of the species. So let's say you discover something new, so which somewhat looks like a dog, okay, and you want to compare how this new species is different from a dog, or how this different, I mean, new species is different from a cat. So you just have to look at the evolutionary relationship. So that is comparing them at the DNA level. Okay, so you do that comparison study at the DNA level, so that is systematics. So taxonomy and systematics, when we mention, so categorization is done. So these are the taxonomic categories which are there. That is for plants. We have the categorization. So domain is there. So under domain, what domain is basically eukarya. All right, so eukarya is the domain, because the plants are also eukaryotic cell, the animals are also eukaryotic cell. So the domain is what? Eukarya. So there is another one. So there is the archaea, we call. Okay, so there are three domains are there totally. So prokarya, archaea and eukarya, or in general we just call it as archaea, prokarya and eukarya. So archaea are all extremophiles. Okay, so archaea is there. All right, so this archaea is basically all of them are extremophiles, which survive in extreme condition, like even if you pour a acid on them, even if you pour a salt on them, even if you provide a high temperature, so they are resistant to that. So that we call as extremophile. Okay, so archaea is there. Then there is prokarya that you can find. So prokarya is all the prokaryotic organisms are considered under prokarya domain, and there is a domain called as eukarya. So under eukarya we have protista, we have fungi, we have plantae, we have animalia. So all are come under the eukarya. So now this one, the plantae is eukarya, the animal is eukarya, animalia. Okay, so now let's have a look at the classificational study. All right, so now for plants, so there is a kingdom. Okay, and instead of a kingdom, so we can sorry, one second, I'll just take the pen. Yeah, so now the kingdom you can find in case of plants also, animal also. So that is plant kingdom we say, animal kingdom we say. Okay, so instead of a term phylum, in case the one which we use a term animal, in case of animalia we use the term phylum. Okay, but in case of plant, instead of a term phylum, so division is used. Okay, so we don't say that phylum Thallophyta, phylum Bryophyta, phylum Pteridophyta, so we don't use that term. So it is a division. Okay, under the plantae kingdom, so we have a division, a Thallophyta, and then there is Bryophyta, Pteridophyta. So different classes you can find, right? So that is the division under which you will be studying the different classes. So now division Pteridophyta is having different classes, division Bryophyta is having different classes. So that is liverworts are there, mosses are there. So you will be studying them in detail. So classes anyway gonna remain the same, order also the same, the families are gonna remain the same, like there is a classification where all of this is included, genus and species. So now one common very common mnemonic which is studied. Okay, when the very common mnemonic which is going on YouTube and other sites basically. So that is to remember these taxonomic category. So D they'll anyway include, or you can just start from the kingdom itself. So that is King Philip. Okay, so with respect to this, anyway here you can change it to division. So King Philip, okay, came over from Greater Spain. Alright, so this is the mnemonic which is available. So that is K is for king. So that is kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus and species. So now if you just remember this order, so you just have to remember this statement, that is King Philip came over from Greater Spain. So in that case you can just remember it this way, and they can ask you the questions like a question like what comes between the order and the genus. So the family is there. Okay, so between the order and genus, what is there? Family is there. So between the kingdom and class, what is there? So phylum is there. So they can ask a questions like what comes between this and this taxonomic category. So here is the mnemonic for remembering the correct order for taxonomic category. So in that case, King Philip came over from Great Spain, we can mention. So kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus and species. Alright. So this is an example which is given for a taxonomic category. I hope you can see this clearly. Okay, so here the taxonomic categories domain is anyway again the eukarya itself. So domain is what here? The domain being the eukarya. So why do we say that it is eukarya? Because the plant mango is given, okay, and you know the from the animal the dog is given here. So both of them are eukaryote. So this is eukarya. All right. So this is also a eukaryotic organism. So this is also a eukaryotic organism. Okay, and hence the domain is basically eukarya. All right, and you can see the example that is plant kingdom belonging to the division that is angiosperm. All right, and the the class basically the dicotyledone. All right, so then you can find the order sapinders. Okay, and then you can find there is a family, so that is Unacademy. Okay, and the genus name is Mangifera and the species name is Indica. All right, so same way you can place Animalia. So under like dog can be placed under the kingdom Animalia there. So for Animalia, okay, so for Animalia, so there is Chordata, Mammalia, Carnivora, Canidae, Canis is there and Familiaris is there. So this is basically a kingdom. Then you can find a phyla, the classes you can find. Then you can find the order, you can find a family, then there is genus and there is a species name. So Canis familiaris is the name of the dog. So scientific name is Canis familiaris and the scientific name of the mango is Mangifera indica. Okay. So this you have to always remember them in the order. So just remember these categories. Okay. So remember in the same order. So I can just write the same order here. So this is very important. All right. So let's have a look at what exactly species and other things. So before that, I'll just explain you certain features. This is lowest level of classification that you can find. So that is basically a species level. Okay. So this is the lowest level. So that is the species level. All right. Just a second. Let me just look if this is visible. 1 second. Yeah. Let's study class 10 ICSE. Ma'am, please ICSE class 10 ka. Oh, sure, I'll do that. I'll transpiration to chapter. I think I have taken 2 sessions on that. I can do it. Okay, so maybe in the next session, tomorrow's session is anyway assigned. So the day after tomorrow, I'll take that session. Okay, on transpiration. Yes. Okay. So species, so organism in this category, so these resemble each other. So that is because like let's say they are belonging to the same species when we mention. So there is a mango plant. So mango plant, there is a variation you can find. Okay, so different types of mangoes are there, but they are again belonging to the same species itself. Okay, so organism in this category resemble each other, so that is very closely. So related species show morphological differences. So now related species are there, so they show morphological differences, but there are different species which are basically resembling very closely to each other, so they are belonging to the same species. The other species are also there which are totally different in there. Okay, so next up in the hierarchical category is that though this is an aggregation of closely related species. Okay, so closely related species are kept in the genus, so that is Canis is there. Okay, so Canis, the example which was mentioned, so closely related ones are all kept in the Canis genus itself. Okay, so next up in the hierarchical category, so there you can find aggregation of the closely related species. So what exactly, you can just make a note here in the species. Okay, I'll just write it here. So in species, what exactly is happening, the number of organisms which are there, okay, so that is less. Okay, so what exactly is happening here, the number of organisms are less over here. So why is that? Because as you go from species to the genus, okay, or from genus to the next level, so that is family is there, or from family you are going to the order. Okay, so then you go for the class, then you go for the phylum, and then you go to the kingdom there. Okay, so this is the level of classification or the categories of taxonomy. So number of organisms are less here. The number of organisms are slightly increasing. Okay, so number of organisms slightly increase over here. Okay, and then again, so the number of organisms are more increasing further. So as you go down, like I mean go up, so from species level to the kingdom level, so here the number of organisms are more, so they basically go on increasing from this level. And here the number of organisms which are there, so they increase. All right, why? Because kingdom will include each and everything, so all the animals are included in the kingdom. So like wild animals, the pets are included, so basically everything, so even including the birds, the reptiles, amphibians. Okay, so each, so porifera, so like different classifications, so invertebrates, vertebrates, everything is included under the kingdom Animalia, if I'm taking this as the example. Okay, so that means the number of organisms are more over here, that is in the kingdom. But as you go down, so species, so we are just concentrating on one particular species. Let's say the phylum, we are taking a chordata phylum. Okay, so what exactly happened here, the invertebrates or non-chordates are reduced, so that amount of organisms have decreased here. Okay, so here what exactly you can see, so chordata is only considered, so we have completely ignored the non-chordates. Then we move to the class, so under chordates we are just considering mammals, and aves are neglected, like ignored. That is just an example I'm giving. Okay, so in that case we are just considering the mammals. So you can just note here, as we are going from animal to the chordata, the number of organisms are decreasing. As we go from chordata to the mammal, the number of organisms are decreasing. Then here we are going only for the primates, so we are not considering non-primates. So primate is basically well developed brain you can find. Non-primate, so much development of a brain you cannot see. Okay, so in primate menstrual cycle, you can see non-primate oyster cycle. So there are differences. So only primates we are considering. Then we are considering only a particular family in the primates. Okay, and only a particular genus is considered, and in that genus only a particular organism is considered. So what you can see, so as you go down from kingdom to the species, number of organisms are decreasing, but as you go up from species to the kingdom, the number of organisms are increasing over there. Okay, so this way if we move, so the number of organisms are increasing. So if we are moving this way, so the number of organisms are decreasing there. All right, and the characteristic feature also if we have to mention, so here the number of or characteristic feature which are there, like similarity. So here the similarity is increasing. All right, so here more of a similarity you can find, so here it is more of a dissimilarity. Okay, so even though it is all of them are animals, so you can find dissimilar organisms, so here you can find more of a similarity in the species. So that is number of characteristic species, or the characteristics of not number of, so it is basically the characteristics. Okay, so we can just mention the characteristic features which are there. So similarity, which is this, so similarity increases as you go from here to here. So this side it is very less, and here this is more. Okay, so you can find a lot of difference. So in species you will find very less number of organisms, but in kingdom you can find all the different types of animals. Okay, so all the different types of animals including the invertebrates, vertebrates, then under that we have different classes, so everything comes under the kingdom. But as you just go on filtering them out, so in that case only the chordates are considered, only the mammals are considered, so number of organisms are gonna decrease that way. All right, is that clear? Any doubt? Okay, so let's get with the other one. So here genus is basically next up in the hierarchical category. So this is an aggregation of closely related species. So next one is the genus there. Okay, so next we have a family. All right, so family, this category has a group of genera, so many group of genera, so many G's together, like many of the genuses together are going to form the family. Many of these species together are going to form the genus, and here closely related, so species you can find, so that you can find here in the species. All right, so that is, this category is having a group of genera, and the genus is basically having a closely related species there. Okay, so next in the order, so order is a group of family, so many of the families are going to make up the order. So group of families is the one which is making the order there. Okay, showing some similarity. So this assemblage relies on the, so that is, sorry, relies on the aggregates of the characters. So depending on what type of a character is it, so similar ones are placed in a, so same family. Okay, so now many such families which are somewhat related, so those are placed in the same order. Okay, so family is this one. Next comes the order. So what exactly is shown here? The number of organisms are less, the number of organisms are more, right? So this is with respect to number of organisms in this case. Okay, so that is basically, there is this thing, and other than that, so the taxonomic hierarchy itself is continued. So where you can find class, when we mention, so orders with some similarities and more differences fall in this category. So it is basically many of the orders together are going to form the class there. Okay, Then many of the classes together, okay, so many classes together are going to make a phylum. So classes of animals with similar basic feature belong together in the phylum, and for plants it is basically a division. So many of the classes are going to form a division in case of a plant. So now you know many of the phyla together will form the kingdom there. So this can be called the highest category. Okay, so all the phyla that can be called animal and trait showing plant division will fall under the separate kingdom. So many of the phylas, like you know phyla in case of animal we say, so many of the phyla together will form the kingdom. Many of the divisions together will form the kingdom Plantae. So this is for a kingdom Plantae. Many of the phyla together will form the kingdom Animalia. Alright, so in that case all the related ones are placed in these taxonomic hierarchy. So what exactly is taxon? So there is a particular term called as taxon. Okay, so what exactly is a taxon there? So taxon is basically a specific group of any ranking. Okay, so group of any ranking is called as a taxon. So what is the meaning of that? So now you know you can find a different rankings here. So I'll just show you these rankings. So this is the ranking. Okay, so now you know this is one rank, this is another rank, this is rank. So any ranking which is there, so each of these are taxons. Okay, so a taxon when we mention, so each of these are basically a taxon of any ranking. So it need not be the highest level or the lowest level only, because any ranking or in the taxonomic category when we mention, so it is called as a taxon, and this is the lowest level of the category, so which is basically a lowest taxon, and this one is the highest taxon. Okay, so that is the category which you can find in the classification. All right. So taxon is group of any ranking which is this, so that we call as a taxon. So what exactly is binomial nomenclature? Yes, anybody has any idea on this? So no doubt here, or any idea on what exactly is this? Okay, so I'll tell you. So nomenclature is basically naming. Okay, so by is two. Okay, so two of the names are used for naming an organism. So this is going to be a common name, a scientific name. Okay, so this is common and that is in different languages. So this is one common name, so it is basically a scientific name. Okay, so nomenclature is basically a process of giving a standard universal name to each organism type. So this is a universal name. Like what is the meaning of universal? Like any part of the word that you go, so you know scientific name is not gonna vary. So now let's say example. All right, so dog when we mention, all right, so the dog name is what? The scientific name of the dog, what is given here? So you can see, so Canis familiaris. Okay, so this one, okay, so the dog scientific name is what? The scientific name of the dog is what? So the name is canis, all right, and you know the familiaris is the name of the dog. So this is the scientific name. But you know the different regions, so in different regions, so different people call different names. Okay, so in different region also, so this name is gonna be a universal name. Okay, so some call it as kutta, so some will call it as, like you know, in our region we call it as nai. So there are different names, okay, for a dog, all right, in different regions. So different names in different regions you can find, but the scientific name, so this is gonna be the universal name, which is gonna be the common one. So we can say it is a process of giving a standard name and a universal name. So this is a universal, or we can also mention that this is the standard and universal name which is given. All right, so based on that, so you know different people, there wouldn't be any confusion even if you go to any part of the word. So if you are just mentioning the scientific name, so even if they don't know, so basically googling of the name can be done, and you know they can know the scientific name of a particular organism. So nomenclature helps with the identification of organism. Okay, so that is naming an organism is to be done. So for that, the scientific name given to every organism is going to be unique, accepted across the world. For example, binomial name for a cat is Felis catus. Okay, so in that case, now as we mentioned, so dog is having a different names in different regions. So some call it kutra and kutta. So here we call nai. So different names are used for a dog. Okay, in Telugu, if we have to mention, kuka is called. So different regions when we mention, so there are different names for a dog. Okay, so what do you call it in your area for a dog? In your region, so what is the name of the dog? Any of you, like you know, those who are listening, so you can type in there. So you know, based on that, one common standard or the universal name which is accepted by everyone, so that has to be given, and hence the scientific name, which is basically a Canis familiaris, is the name given to the dog, which is common even if you go to any part of the world. So this is the scientific name which is not gonna vary. So even if you are confused with the different names in different regions for a dog, okay, so you know there will be one common name which is accepted throughout the world, and hence, so binomial nomenclature when we mention, so basically this is accepted across the world. So for example, binomial name for a cat is Felis catus. Okay, so now you know, if I have to mention in my region, like you know, in my region, so that is basically Bangalore, for a cat we call Bekku. Okay, and like you know, in different regions, so they'll call by different names. So you know, in order to avoid the confusion, so one standard and a unique name is given, which is accepted throughout the world there. Okay, and who exactly started with this? So it is the Carolus Linnaeus who started the classification actually. So he is the one suggested the binomial nomenclature, and he even has a complete book which is mainly there associated with naming, like you know how the naming has to be done. So depend, like you know, completely one book he has written for classification along with the naming. Okay, so he has completely dedicated his life towards the classification of the organism, their namings, and you know, so he has written a Systema Naturae book, so which is basically about the classification, including the taxonomy and systematics. Okay, so naming organisms with two components, and that's the reason we call this as a binomial. So bi is what? Two. Okay, nomial name, so two names are given, so that is naming is done by using two of the names. Okay, so the two parts in the name are the generic name, that is the genus name what you call it, and the specific epithet, so that is the species name will be there. All right, so let's have a look at the rule, like you know, rules are there for naming. So what exactly are those rules for a nomenclature? All right, so whenever you are naming a particular organism or writing it basically, Okay, so now let's say you are typing it. So okay, when you are typing a what is that scientific name, so you have to type it in italics. Okay, and the main thing is genus name should start with the capital letter. All right, so this is for a genus, and the species name which is there, so that has to start with the small letter with a gap over there. Alright, so this is when you are typing. But if you are writing it, okay, so if you are writing, so let's say you cannot write it in a italic. So basically what you have to do is, as usual, the genus should start with the capital letter, species should start with the small letter itself with a slight gap, and this has to be underlined. So since you are writing it, the scientific name has to be underline. So this is handwritten. So in case of handwritten, so basically you need to underline this whole scientific name. Okay, so underlining has to be done. So let's have a look at some of the rules. So according to the binomial nomenclature, so there are some rules for the scientific name of the organism. So how exactly you are going to name it. Okay, so scientific name originate in the Latin. Okay, so notwithstanding what's their origin, so basically these are all Latin origin, because the Carolus Linnaeus, so he is basically he started naming them in Latin. All right, then they are written in italics, so that is when you are typing them. All right, so when you are typing them, so basically you are typing in the on a laptop or a computer, so basically you will be writing them, that italic form is available. So for that you can just make it italic, so that is for a scientific name. Okay, and the first word denotes the genus name always, and this always starts with the capital letter. So like I already said, the genus always starts with the capital letter. So taxonomy is basically, there are different categories. So there is kingdom, phylum, all right, then class, order, family, genus and species. So this categorization is done. So taxonomy category we call. So what exactly is taxonomy is, let's say you discover one new organism. Okay, so Aman, right? So Aman discovers one new plant species or maybe an animal species. Okay, and now when you discover that, you want to identify whether this is a plant, whether this is an animal, so you don't know. So what you do is, first you identify that, you study its characteristics, and then basically you name it. So that is the scientific name you are going to give it, and then you classify it. So all these are these sub steps, like steps of the taxonomy. So taxonomy basically includes identification. So what exactly is taxonomy means? So taxonomy will include identifying an organism that you have newly discovered. Then you will be characterizing it. Basically you will study its characteristics, whether whatever you have discovered, so whether it looks like a plant, whether it looks like an animal. Okay, so that you will try to understand by studying its behavior. So that characteristics is looked, and then after you study, so basically you give a name to it based on its characteristics. So that is naming is done, and then you will go for the classification. So classification is what? So you will place it in a particular kingdom, a particular phylum, then you will place it in a particular class, order, family, then you have given already a name, so that genus and a species name is given. So that whole, on the whole, we call as a taxonomy. And these what are there? So these are all taxonomic categories, right? Yes, so basically identify with respect to its featuring, like body feature you will understand. So that is when you are discovering that particular organism. Okay, so identify कौन से basis पे करते हैं? So that is you let's say you go to a isolated area where the people population is very less, so there you can find different types of organisms. So let's say you collect a water from there, and in water you discover a new type of a bacteria. Okay, so you want to know that whether this is a bacteria, whether this is a virus, whether this is a fungi. So based on its structural appearance, you will identify that this is a bacteria, this is a virus, or this is a fungi. So once you do that, you study that completely. So that studying completely and understanding its behavior, so that is a characterization. And based on it, since you are the ones, you are the one who have discovered it, okay, so you have a full authority to name it also, because you are into a research field. So from wherever you have isolated that bacteria, so you have a complete authority, so you can give a name. So based on there is a rule again for naming also, based on that only you will be naming it, and then you will classify it. So how you are classifying? So you will place that under the kingdom Monera. Okay, and then so what exactly, so again in kingdom Monera there are different classes which will be there. So you just go on classifying them, and you basically have discovered a new species for these science. So that is the taxonomy. All right, so systematics is also there. So systematics is, now you discover this bacteria. All right, so once you have discovered that bacteria, so you want to compare it with other other bacteria which are already existing. So let's say there is a bacteria which causes tuberculosis, there is a bacteria which causes cholera. So now you want to know its relationship, whatever you have discovered a bacteria, so that bacterial relationship, whether it is similar to that bacteria or whether it is completely different from that. So evolutionary relationship is studied. So that evolutionary relationship is basically a systematic. Okay, so taxonomy, when we mention, one second, I'll just write it here, just a second. Okay, so taxonomy, when we mention, so taxonomy basically identifying, characterizing, naming, classification is included. Systematics, when we mention, so systematics will include taxonomy. Okay, so taxonomy plus, so this is taxonomy plus evolutionary relationship is also considered. So that is a systematics. All right. So तभी तो group हो जाता है, that is what. So when you identify, so basically then only, so after identifying only you will be grouping. So basically these are the steps. So you can anyway following it in you can anyway follow it in different order, but anyway whenever you identify, yes, you will be classifying it. So that तभी तो grouping हो जाता है. Yes, is that clear? So identify और grouping में difference क्या है? So identify is, now you discover that new species, right? So when you discover, so basically you are identifying. So what is that meaning? So grouping is different, classifying is grouping. So classifying is completely different than identifying, or grouping is completely different than identifying. So what exactly is the meaning of that is, now you have discovered a new organism. So you want to know that this is a bacteria, virus, or a fungi. So you have just known that whatever you have discovered, so that is the bacteria. But classifying what will include? So under classifying, so it is not just identification. So you have just identified this is a bacteria, but here in classification, so you need to know the kingdom, you need to know its class, that is phyla, or you need to know its class, you need to know its order, you need to know its family, you need to give it a genus name and a specific name. So in that case, classifying is basically totally different than an identification. So identifying is just you are differentiating that this is a bacteria, Then you will study that whether this will belong to the prokaryotic class, eukaryotic. So since you have already said that this is bacteria, of course this is going to be a prokaryotic one. So prokaryotes are placed where? So that is in the Monera. So there are different classes. So you can find there are extremophiles. So some of the bacteria, even if you pour a acid on them, they still survive. So there are certain bacteria, even if you pour a lot of salt or even if you provide lot of heat, so they still survive. So based on its characteristic feature, the classification is done. So that is classifying. Here just the identifying this as a bacteria virus is done, and here based on its characteristics you will be placing them under the different category, whether it is a extremophile or just the normal bacteria. Okay, and after that you will place it in different families based on how exactly this is resembling. So whether this is resembling the other organism like other bacterias and all. Okay. All right, so some of the, okay, so I'll just complete this. So that is nomenclature. So here the second word denotes the specific epithet which starts with the small letter. All right, when handwritten, so we must underline each part separately. So genus name you are writing, so first letter is going to be capital, so you write it you underline it. So species name you are writing later on, so that is with a slide gap, so again you will be underlining it. So that is when handwritten. All right, so name of the author comes after the specific. So if a author, so let's say Aman has discovered a new organism, so if you just want to write, so now name of the author comes after the species epithet and written in an abbreviated form, so you can just write it as A as such. Okay, so in that case a complete name is not written, but yes, if you want to write the author name, so you can just write it as A. Okay, so this is anyway for you, this one they have not mentioned, so you can just go ahead with this. So that is genus and a species name with a handwritten one, so that is underlined one in case of a handwritten. So which of the following term is used to refer to number of varieties of plants and animals on earth? So there are options. So this is term used to refer to number of varieties. Just a second. Okay, so one second. So this one I think got blocked. Just a second. I'm unable to move the slide next. I'll just get back to this. Just a second. Technical issue which was going on, and that's the reason. So basically this was hung. Okay, and that's the reason. So screen was completely blocked, it was stuck. So I had to just restart my laptop. Alright, so I hope now I am audible. Okay, so which of the following term is used to refer the number of varieties of plants and animals on earth? Just a second, let me just check this. This is working. So can you guys hear me now? Yeah, it is. I think this is clear now. Yeah. All right. So which of the following term is used to refer the number of varieties of plants and animals on earth? So it is biodiversity. So you can find a number of plants, you can find a number of animals on earth. So that is the biodiversity you can find. So bio is what? Right, life. Okay, so life varieties, so different varieties of life you can find on earth, so that is the biodiversity. So binomial nomenclature means one name given to the two scientists, one scientific name consisting of generic and specific epithet. So two names, so one is Latinized and other of a person, and two names of the same plant. Alright, so in that case, which is the right answer? Any idea? Official Gagan is here. So Aman is typing something. Why some differentiation of something he typed. Alright, so this one anyway. one scientific name consisting of a generic and the specific epithet. So that is the genus name and a species name can be found. So now in a printed scientific name, only the dash is capitalized. So class, species, genus and family. So which one is capitalized? The genus name is capitalized. So first the genus letter what you write, so that is capitalized. So next the species which you will be writing, so that is small letter only. Okay. So now each category of taxonomic hierarchy, so that refers to a unit of systematic identification, nomenclature and classification. Generic is genus name only. So generic name which is given here, okay, so it is the genus name. All right. Specific epithet when we mention, so specific epithet is species name, so this is species name and this one is the genus name. All right. So in that case, now you know each category of taxonomic hierarchy so refers to as a unit of classification. All right. So taxonon is like, you know, taxonomic hierarchy you can find. So taxonomic hierarchy or the category. So in those categories, what exactly is a taxon? So taxon is basically a taxonomic group of any ranking. So it can be kingdom, it can be phylum, it can be class, it can be order, it can be family, it can be genus, or it can be species. So taxonomic group of any ranking is called as a taxon in a taxonomic category. All right. Alright, so before I end this session, so let me just say about the batches we have. So there is a Guardians batch, which is a all subject batch, and here the mode of delivery is English. And the start date, it started on July 6th. Yes, you have an option to watch the recordings. And yes, many more sessions which are yet to go live. So you can take up the live sessions there. And if you are subscribing for class 10, so you will be getting class 10, class 11 and class 12 subscription absolutely free along with this. So there is a Avengers batch also where the mode of delivery is English and the start date is 13 July, that is from tomorrow. Yes, you can watch live sessions which are yet to come, so that is from tomorrow, so you can take up this session. So here also if you are subscribing for class 9, so you will be getting class 10 to 11 subscription absolutely free. And right now this combo offer is going on where you can take a subscription for class 9 and along with that you can start your preparation early for the competitive exams also like JEE, NEET as well as NTSE. Okay, and the cost has been reduced from 34,500 to 31,050 and with the referral code Vani YT. So this is my code. With this referral code you will be further getting 10% discount on the subscription. Okay, so this is the regular pricing that you can find on the app. And introducing community. Never miss on any update from your favorite educator. So get session notes and practice material. Share your feedback directly with the educator via poll. So check out the link to the educator community below here in the description box. So this is about the Bucks Bounty opportunity for all learners to report any inappropriate content in the video. So be the first one to report a particular issue to claim your prize. Report any inappropriate content using the form in the description. So again you can find a link in the description there. So you can just go to the description. So anything that you find, so you can just mark it there. So subscribe to our channel, that is Unacademy, ICSE and ISC both. So click on bell icon to get notified about the session. Download the Unacademy Learners app now. So if you need this PDF, you can just join my Telegram, Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10 biology. So you can just search it as Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10 biology. So you will find my Telegram channel and you guys can ask me if you need this PDF there. Okay, or otherwise I can even send it on the community. So all you have to do is download the Unacademy Learners app. So like and share the video. So see you all in the next session. 1 second. The same answer I have answered, Aman. So identification and grouping मिल जाता है. So what is that? मगर identification में ही group तो मिल जाता. No, it is not just one group. So you need to know its family, you need to know its order, you need to know its class, you need to know the phylum, you need to, so only you will understand the kingdom. So that is not the whole group. So you will just understand the kingdom. Okay, that is in identifying. So then in classification or grouping, so you need to know its phylum, also you need to know its class, and you need to know the family and other things. So order, family, genus and species. So in that case, you need to further study it, and then you need to go for the grouping. That is naming them and properly keeping them in a particular category. So that is grouping. Okay, so identifying, you will just understand its kingdom, not the whole detail. Okay, so you have to do further study, and there you will understand the complete after you study, so basically you can do the complete classification. Yes, you got it, Aman? Yes, all right. So I'll just end this session. All right. So any doubt you have, you can even join my Telegram channel there and clear your doubts. So that is on an Unacademy channel also you can ask your doubt, or otherwise you can join my Telegram channel, that is Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10 biology, and you can clear your doubt there as well. Okay. So see you all in the next session. Bye bye everyone. Take care. Thank you all.